Hi guys, this is week 39 at Project Life, and as you can see, I'm starting with my photos, but I didn't have many 4x6 photos this week. I only had this one, so I'm going to try and work with some 3x4s and do something a little bit different. We'll see how that goes. This was the week that Lily got super sick, so photo taking just kind of fell by the wayside. Now, I've got no kit to work with this week, so I thought I would do a 5 favourite things. So I rummaged through my stash and pulled out some older bits and pieces here. So I have got some cardstock alphas from Doodlebug Designs and some tags. They're just cardboard tags. I think they came from Kmart, to be honest. I have got a Maggie Hone sticker sheet that I pulled out. It's a little bit of a cheat because I get mini word stickers and label stickers in one hit. I've got some Citrus Twist chipboard stickers, and I think they're a few months old, so they're not super old. But then I pulled out these really old cut apart papers. There's some crepe paper and some Dear Lizzie in there, and I think I'm going to use those this week. So let's get started. So the first thing I have to do, obviously, is cut apart my cut apart sheets. So I had pulled out a few different ones, but actually this one, it's not card size. They're all mostly little bits and pieces. So I'm really only left with this one here, which is fine by me. I really like the colors on it. Those sort of pastel-y, fairly typical Dear Lizzie shades that I think are going to go nicely with my photos this week anyway. So I'm trimming them all out. I mean, I'm obviously not going to use all of these cards, but I've cut them all out anyway, and whatever I don't use, I will end up just putting back in my stash to use at a different time. So I really only need one 4x6, and the rest of them are all going to be these little 3x4 cards, and some of them were perfect. So the one on the top right there says "You are my favorite," so perfect for coffee. The yellowy green coloured one on the left says "Glued to You," which I thought was really appropriate for the photo of Lily because she was sick, and I was by her side for pretty much that whole week. So Lily is totally fine. She's back to normal now. We don't really know what it was, but I'm happy to say that as of right now, she is back to her old mischief-causing self. So this was a rough week, but luckily it ended. So that's basically my layout. There is a card down the bottom that has a photo of a glass of wine. That was the day I hit 7,000 subscribers. It was a Saturday night, funnily enough. So we had a little glass of wine to celebrate, so I will end up adding some alphas to that, but I thought that was sort of a nice subtle way to document that happening, as opposed to the massive Traveler's Notebook spread that I did do for my giveaway. If you haven't seen that, I will link that up here. The giveaway is still going until Friday, so if you haven't entered, make sure that you do. For my title card, I picked out this it's cream and pink pattern, and I really wanted to use some of these tags to add my week numbers to. I was just trying to work out which colors of tags were going to work with these. They're quite pale teal alphas, so I end up going with the blue and the grey. I felt like they gave enough contrast, even though they weren't really the best colors for it. And they seemed a little bit plain to me, so I cheated a little bit and grabbed out some of these hole enforcers here, and you can see they didn't really work. They weren't big enough to cover up the white on there, so I wasn't loving the way that these tags were looking. I felt like they looked too big for the numbers, so I tried trimming each of the tags down so they were slightly smaller, but it kind of ruined the dimensions, or it just ruined the shape of the tag, I guess. The ratios were kind of off, and then the holes were too close to the top, and I sort of was like, I've ruined it. So I decided to, since I had so many of these tags, they came in a pack that just had heaps in them, so I decided I would just go ahead and use the whole tags the size that they were, and then luckily I managed to peel off those numbers off the cards that I had trimmed down. They peeled off fine, so I could stick them onto the tags, and I just changed the placement of them so they weren't so far apart, just to make it look a bit better. It looks more balanced, and I do end up spelling out week and adding that K to that tag, so my actual placement of the alphas is still visually correct, and it just has those two tags behind it just as part of the background. I'm going to use one of these label stickers to add my date stamping to, so I just picked one that had a dark enough outline to stand out on that. It's quite a busy pattern, so the other tags were quite light, so I added that darker one. And I'm not going to be able to fit the entire date stamp on this, so I'm just using a bit of packaging as a mask to make sure I'm not stamping anything extra onto that pattern paper. I realized I wanted a little bit extra on these tags. They seemed a bit plain, so I grabbed some ribbon out of my stash, and luckily the glue lifted up not too badly, so I managed to pull the tag up and just slip a bit of ribbon through, and I'm just stapling it to the tag rather than tying it, so it stays a bit flatter. Plus it was easier since I'd already glued the tag down, and call that title card done. Now, I don't normally date stamp anything else in my album apart from the actual title cards, but I figured that my 7,000 subscribers card was probably worthy of having the actual date put on it rather than just the week, and because the pattern on the card, the design actually has a place for a date stamp, I just added that in there, and then added some gold glitter alphas at the bottom to spell out 7,000. Now these 3x4 cards are going to end up in a 4x6 pocket, so I am just using a tiny bit of washi tape on the back side to tape them together so that they don't wiggle around and fall behind each other once I put them away in the pockets. Now I'm just grabbing these chipboards from Citrus Twist and just popping them out. I'm not peeling the stickers off them just yet, although I think I managed to use up all of the ones that I've popped off anyway. I like pushing them through from the front to the back so it keeps the backing on them. It's much easier to place them, and that way you're not sort of committed as soon as you put it down, because I do tend to change the placement of them a little bit. And then I'm going back through this sticker sheet and adding some more labels and some little tiny word stickers as I go. I think my point at this particular place in time was to use up as much of these supplies as I can. So you'll see this page just gets fuller and fuller because I'm not worried about keeping any of these things. I just want to start using up some of my stash. Going through some of these older bits like this, I realized just how many pretty lovely things I do have that don't tend to get used because I am working with so many kits for design teams, or just because I enjoy buying scrapbooking supplies. I don't tend to use a lot of my older supplies much, so I really do need to make sure that I change that habit because I am quickly running out of room. I'm not adding a lot of journaling to this particular page this time. I know that's not really a shock, but I did want to add just a few little words about the Lily situation because that photo doesn't really do justice to what a miserable time we were having. So I typed out a few little words and just added it onto that yellow card there. And now all I'm really doing is sticking down the rest of these chipboards before I forget to stick them down at all. And I'm trying to add a little bit more embellishment to each of the cards. I could probably have left it as it was. I was more than happy with it. But like I said, at this point I was trying to use up a bit more stuff. So I keep adding to things, and I'm not unhappy that I did so. You know me, I'm always erring on the side of simple rather than overly complicated, but this week I kind of like the overcomplicated look, so I am layering a lot of these stickers and chipboards just to start using them up. For instance, this food and fun card, I could have left it totally plain, but instead I'm just adding a little cluster of labels and stickers up the top, just to kind of tie it together with the photo on the right. And then again, I cheated again, but I mean, you know, I'm not going to apologize for it. You add as much as you need to add, don't you? And I felt like I needed to add a little bit more. So I grabbed out some of these older Cocoa Vanilla enamel shapes and just start scattering them generously over the page. They were the right colors. They looked pretty. I love the little heart shapes, and actually I used some of the stars. I don't tend to use the stars a lot, but they looked really cool. I love the pop that the navy blue gives. The rest of the page is quite sort of pastely and soft, so it's nice to have that little bit of darkness there. I think it just adds a nice contrast. I don't think I add them to every card, but you can see I'm getting pretty close, so I was definitely going for a more is more look this week. I'd love for you to join me in this 5 favorite things challenge. So go through your stash, find some older bits that you love but have been trying to avoid using up, and put them on a spread. And please leave me a comment down below letting me know that I am not the only one that has a huge stash of favorites that need to be used up. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there's a couple more videos on screen. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye!